There's a plant growing wild in the hills of Jerusalem right now. It grows out of stone walls. It grows along desert trails. It grows in the same rocky terrain it has occupied for thousands of years. In the book of Exodus, God specifically commanded Moses to use this plant during the most significant night in Israel's history. King David wrote about it in one of the most quoted lines in the entire Bible. It appears in the New Testament at the moment of the crucifixion. Ancient Greek physician Dioscorides prescribed it in the 1st century AD for respiratory illness and infections. Samaritans, a group originating from the Israelites, still use this plant in the same way as in biblical times. Today, in the Western world, almost nobody knows what it is. It costs about $1. Stay with me, because in the next 9 minutes I'm going to show you exactly which plant this is, what it's mentioned in the Bible, what modern science has confirmed about its active compounds, and why it quietly disappeared from Western medicine while the ancient world considered it indispensable. Let's start with the mystery that biblical scholars spent centuries debating. The Hebrew Bible references a plant called ezov more than a dozen times. In English translations, it appears as hyssop. You've probably heard the line from Psalm 51, verse 7, one of King David's most famous prayers, "Purge me with hyssop, and I shall be clean." For centuries, that word was translated as referring to Hyssopus officinalis, a European herb in the mint family that is still sold today as hyssop in Western health stores. There was one problem. The common hyssop, Hyssopus officinalis, cannot be the hyssop of the Bible because it is unknown in Palestine. It doesn't grow there. It never grew there. The plant being sold in Western stores as biblical hyssop is a European herb that had no presence in the land where the Bible was written. Jewish tradition has consistently associated zaatar with biblical references. Prominent scholars, including Saadia Gaon in the 10th century, Abraham ibn Ezra in the 12th century, Maimonides in the 12th and 13th centuries, and Obadiah of Bertinoro in the 15th and 16th centuries, all identified the ezov mentioned in the Hebrew Bible, in Exodus 12:22 and other passages, with the Arabic zaatar. This connection appears in both rabbinic and Samaritan traditions. Zaatar, the herb that is the foundation of the Middle Eastern spice blend eaten on bread every single morning across the Levant. The herb that costs $1 at any Middle Eastern grocery store. The herb that has been growing wild in the hills of Israel and Palestine since before written history. Its scientific name is Origanum syriacum. Syrian oregano, Lebanese thyme, biblical hyssop, all the same plant. Here's what makes the biblical references so significant once you understand which plant they're actually describing. Zaatar was mentioned in the book of Exodus as biblical hyssop used in the Passover. It was also presented as a treatment for respiratory illnesses and bacterial infections by ancient Greek physician Dioscorides in 40 to 90 AD. It was later cited in the Tib-i-Nabawi, prophetic medicine, in 14th century Damascus, which notes zaatar's use to fumigate the interior of homes. Think about that sequence for a moment. The Exodus, over 3,000 years ago. Dioscorides, 1st century AD. Prophetic medicine, 14th century. That's 3,000 years of continuous documented use across multiple cultures, multiple languages, and multiple medical traditions, all describing the same plant and the same applications. Samaritans still use this plant to sprinkle blood during their annual Passover sacrifices on Mount Gerizim, continuing a tradition that has not been interrupted for thousands of years. This isn't a rediscovered ancient remedy. It never stopped being used. It just stopped being used in the Western world, which only encountered the wrong plant under the same name and missed the real thing entirely. Now here's what modern biochemistry found when researchers actually analyzed Origanum syriacum. Origanum syriacum belongs to the genus Origanum from the Lamiaceae family, which is rich in essential oils that exhibit antimicrobial efficacy, anti-inflammatory efficacy, antioxidant activity, and anti-tumor efficacy. These activities are due to its richness in carvacrol and thymol. Carvacrol and thymol. These are the two compounds doing the work. Here's why they matter. Carvacrol is the same active compound in oil of oregano, a supplement that sells for $25 to $40 a bottle in every health store in the United States. Thymol is the active ingredient in Listerine mouthwash. It's used commercially as an antiseptic and disinfectant and appears as an active ingredient in cough medicines. Modern analytical studies reveal that Origanum syriacum essential oil contains up to 80% carvacrol, a compound with potent antimicrobial and antioxidant activity. This explains its traditional use in preserving food and treating infections long before modern science existed. The ancient world didn't have gas chromatography. They didn't know what carvacrol was, but they observed over thousands of years of direct use that this plant kept people healthier, preserved food longer, and helped clear respiratory infections. They incorporated it into daily diet, into purification rituals, into medical prescriptions. Modern science spent decades and millions of research dollars confirming what they already knew through observation. 121 compounds have been identified in zaatar essential oil. The most common are thymol, carvacrol, and alpha-pinene. Antimicrobial and antioxidant activities are the main functionalities of zaatar essential oil that underlie its medicinal importance. Now here's the part that explains why this herb disappeared from Western medicine while it never disappeared from the Middle East. When Western pharmaceutical research developed in the 19th and 20th centuries, it was built on the model of isolating single active compounds, patenting them and manufacturing them at scale. Carvacrol and thymol were identified early. Thymol was synthesized and put into Listerine in 1879. It was put into antiseptic products. Oil of oregano was packaged and sold at premium prices. But the plant itself, the $1 dried herb that contains those same compounds naturally, in a full-spectrum matrix alongside 119 other identified compounds, never got a patent. You can't patent a plant that has been growing wild in the Middle East for 3,000 years. So it got a different treatment. It became a spice. It went into the ethnic food aisle. And the Western consumer, who had no cultural context for what they were looking at, walked right past it. Meanwhile, every family across Lebanon, Palestine, Syria, Jordan, and Israel has been eating it on bread every single morning for generations, the same way their ancestors did in biblical times. Zaatar has been an indispensable herb in 10th century cookbooks and the heart of communal harvesting across the Levant for centuries. There was no gap, no rediscovery needed. The knowledge simply stayed where it always was. Here's exactly what to buy and 3 specific ways to use it. You're looking for dried Origanum syriacum, sold as zaatar herb, Syrian oregano, or Lebanese thyme. The important distinction: you want the plain dried herb, not the prepared zaatar spice mix, which already has sesame seeds, salt, and sumac added. Those additions are delicious, but you want the base herb for maximum control over how you use it. Find it at any Middle Eastern, Lebanese, Palestinian, or Syrian grocery store. Also widely available on Amazon. Average price for a jar that lasts months, under $2. The first way, and the most historically accurate, is zaatar bread. Mix 1 tablespoon of dried zaatar herb with 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil until it forms a paste. Spread it on bread, flatbread, or toast. This is the traditional Middle Eastern breakfast preparation that has been eaten daily across the Levant for at least 1,000 years of documented culinary history. The combination of carvacrol-rich herb and olive oil is both nutritionally and biochemically sound. The fat in olive oil helps absorb the fat-soluble active compounds. The second way is tea. Steep 2 teaspoons of dried zaatar in a cup of hot water for 5 to 7 minutes. This is the preparation that ancient and medieval physicians specifically recommended for respiratory support, coughs, congestion, and sore throats. The steam itself carries volatile oils directly to the respiratory tract as you drink. Dioscorides prescribed it for respiratory illness in the 1st century AD. Modern herbalists use it for the same applications today. The third way is as a culinary spice. Sprinkle dried zaatar on eggs, roasted vegetables, grilled meats, lentil dishes, or any savory preparation. This is how it functions in daily cooking across the Middle East, not as a supplement taken separately, but as a flavor component integrated into every meal. The daily cumulative exposure to carvacrol and thymol through food is exactly how ancient populations maintained consistent contact with these compounds without thinking of them as medicine at all. One important note: zaatar essential oil is highly concentrated and should not be taken internally in large amounts without guidance. The dried herb used in food quantities is safe and is what this video is about. Let's bring this together. A plant mentioned by name in the Book of Exodus, prescribed for respiratory illness by a Greek physician in the 1st century AD, cited in 14th century Islamic medical texts. Still used in unbroken tradition by Samaritans in their Passover rites on Mount Gerizim today. Modern biochemistry identified 121 compounds in its essential oil. The primary active compounds, carvacrol and thymol, are the same compounds used in commercial antiseptics, mouthwashes, and $35 oil of oregano supplements. The dried herb contains those same compounds, has been part of daily diet across the Levant for thousands of years, and costs under $1. It didn't disappear because something better replaced it. It disappeared from the Western world because it got sorted into the spice aisle without explanation, and the wrong plant got sold under the same name for 2 centuries. Now you know which plant it actually is, and you know exactly how to use it the way ancient healers used it every single day. If this changed how you see that small jar of dried herb at the back of the ethnic food aisle, hit the like button. It takes 1 second and shows this to someone else who's been walking past the real thing their whole life. And if you want the next plant from the ancient world that modern science has now confirmed at the molecular level, one that Roman physicians documented and that current research shows affects the same cellular pathways as a class of modern prescription drugs, that video is on your screen right now. Take care, I'll see you in the next one.